All right, everybody, welcome in. Sorry about the late start. A little bit of gremlins in the system right now. Lap 5 of 143 underway here in the Ricmotech Truck Series. So far, so good. It has been clean racing. Nicholas Caldwell up front in that 13 machine. Dylan Morado second. Mike Rominger in third. Chad Osborne and Ed Morris there in fifth place. Appreciate the heck out of you joining me here today. Again, nowhere late, as we do have the lights on here where we're going to be racing today. Giving a little bit of race info for the Ricmotech Truck Series as we are getting everything up and running, ready to go for you guys at home. Of course, you know where we're at. We are at Kentucky Speedway, 1.46 mile speedway here, 86-degree temperature down in Kentucky. I tell you what, these guys know how to drive this track, this 1.5 mile, but it is not a cookie cutter, guys. It is going to be good racing as we see the drivers go to the bottom there as the top 5 within 0.2 seconds of each other as we get rocking here. So you see throw a blanket over the top 5 here on lap 8. As Dylan Morando going to go to the bottom of the track, and that's what you got to do at Kentucky here. You're going to get a little bit higher. We got to watch for those tires just like we always do. And I tell you what, these drivers know how to do it as they're fanning out, about to go 3 wide, side by side. Where you don't want to be is that no man's land right in the middle of the track, where that's where everything is a little bit more rough here at Kentucky. Again, I appreciate everybody who's showing up. As I tell you what, these guys here at Extreme been having a pretty good season so far. Brought to you, of course, by that Extreme scoring software. Again, I do apologize for the beginning of the race. Sometimes these things happen, especially this week. I tell you what, you have no idea. As we run through, let's go ahead and tell you guys what the qualifying results looked like. We'll get that to you guys in a moment. Take a look back. Michael Thwaite, Brennan Horan, Jeremy Rigney, David Colo, Dustin Lemke there in 10th position, David Elliott in 11th. Kerry Cleaver in 12th, Josh Wren 13th, Maxwell Shade, Sean Corrigan, and Chris Thurman. Of course, Ed Morris Sr. sitting around there, going to be playing as well. As Caldwell taking down my Mirando. Chad Osborne just waiting in the wings. That 24 machine has been having a really good season. As I believe I'm joined in the booth by, oh my gosh, no way, Mr. Jonathan Leach. Jonathan, how's it going, brother?
Going well. Sorry being a little bit late. Saw that you needed some trouble, so hopped in the citation. Flew all the way across the country from Southern National to Kentucky Speedway to join you here for the Extreme Truck Series. It's been a long time since I've been here for this series, and showing up a little bit late, but boy, I've raced with this league. I've helped call this league. It should be fun. And man, has it been over a year since we've been in the booth together? I feel like it has.
Absolutely. You know what? If it takes calamity to get us there, You know what? That's all right with me. As we got a good race right now going on, top 5, all within about a second gap. Ed Morris, the last one. They're trying to catch up here at Kentucky. You can see that line where that asphalt's been replaced. That's because that bottom line is so dominant here that it has pulled up the racetrack over the years here at Kentucky. And I tell you what, the Ricmotech Truck Series is going to be tearing it up as well here on lap 14 of 143. But I can tell you from looking at these drivers from the back of Dylan Miranda, I can tell you that these guys, it's going to be a strategy battle for these drivers at the Ricmotech Cup Series at Kentucky. And these trucks, the tires are not going to last forever. It's going to see who can make them last and who can do that the best as we come into this race. What do you think? About 40, 50 laps generally is what we get out of tires here at Kentucky, Jonathan?
I think we start looking at fuel before you really have a tire problem. I mean, we're going to see the tire fall off is going to be about 1 second to 2 seconds, and it might happen rather quickly. But I really think fuel becomes an issue more so than tires for this one. But we'll see that in the race, especially if drivers can continue to hold that lower line around Kentucky, which has kind of 2 different distinct turns. If I remember correctly, 1 and 2 feels a little bit easier to turn the vehicle than 3 and 4. And if you get out of the rhythm a little bit, you can really scrub your rear tires off quickly.
Yeah, absolutely. Luckily, the thing we don't have to worry about in these trucks is that right rear getting as much launch, you know, as you would a Cup Series or anything else. They just don't have the horsepower to really do too much damage, but still something to think about as these trucks move forward. It looks like Kerry Cleaver back here in 12th to 14th. They are working on getting some stuff done and taken care of. But I know that's about what we see out of Extreme week in, week out, is drivers that know how to race these cars and know how to race around each other enough to know that there's just no real way that you can guarantee you're gonna have cautions or gonna have issues to be able to move forward in the field. So these guys definitely know they have to right now get out pretty much onesies and twosies, as we see Ed Morris working to the bottom of Chad Osborne here. And it looks like I said, that middle part is just no man's land. Nobody wants to get there. And if you're in that outside zone, you might as well just let everybody go by on the bottom and plan your attack to get back up to them.
Yeah, I really think when I think back to Kentucky, and maybe I'm confusing it with Kansas, I believe Kentucky is one of the few tracks that really does offer some multi-group racing. And what you always seem to get is you get drivers that run the high side and the low side. But when you get into these trucks, I really feel like the low side has more of an advantage, a little lower horsepower than the Cup cars, a little less aerodynamics. I don't think the high side works as well unless you're really trying to conserve tires. But I kind of don't feel like the juice is worth the squeeze on that one. When we have the opportunity, it might be worth asking a couple drivers that we're seeing predominantly run the high line and the low line to see what their thoughts are regarding the ideal racing line around Kentucky.
Absolutely. As we take a look, Michael Thwaites and Chad Osborne right up next to each other. Of course, using that extreme paint system and the extreme scoring system, you guys can get a look at that on your own here. If you would like, you can go to that extreme, just Google extreme scoring system. It'll take you to what these guys do and how they do it. You can only use Sim Racer Hub for so much. Extreme just gives you so much more and such a better system to work with, whether it's race control, timing and scoring, whatever you've got going on. These guys make it happen for you, as it's just an absolute blast, and I love working with these guys. It makes paints easier. It's just all around better, I think, coming into it. And especially, John, I know you've seen the race control software. Oh my gosh, I didn't know it could be so easy.
I haven't really used it myself, but special thanks to Greg Wood, SRM race controller, who's a part of the series right now. He has raved about the ability and how well the software makes race control work. Instead of having to use a series of hotkeys, everything is in one nice overlay or remote button system on your screen. And it also even offers events when somebody goes off the track. If somebody hits the yellow line, tires off the track, someone's in the grass, you can go back and see that, and it'll instantaneously take you to that incident, which really allows the race control to have a bird's eye view in order to make decisions that may affect the outcome of the race if required.
Absolutely. As we see the battle for the lead on the back of Nicholas Caldwell here, we're going to use our desktop lid camera and see kind of just what these drivers are going to do and what they're looking forward to in these turns, and kind of what he's going to be looking back there for in Mirando. You just got to take the opportunities when they come up. As you see, get right up to the back bumper of Caldwell there, and I can see the lane shifting up. I can see it's going in, and oh my gosh, we're already pitting lap 24. I knew it from Daytona that these guys really focus on pit strategy as part of their race in, race out. They want green flag stops. They want these guys to have to come in and strategize a little bit, and that's what we're seeing here. Dylan Mirando, Ed Morris, and Michael Thwaites coming in, and I think that's going to be the start of something, as there was already a second fall off there on tires.
Yeah, I really think this is a bit early, that 25 of 143. But I don't know what I don't know. I don't normally cover the series. So these drivers obviously know something that we don't know, and perhaps there's a stage here, and we're splitting this stage in two. I'm going to try to gather that information as quickly as possible in order to give us some better insight.
Yeah, absolutely, John. I think actually you can go ahead and talk to Greg Wood in Race Control. He can give a little bit more, and I'll talk a little bit more about what I know till you come back, as we see more people coming down pit road, the second group. So I'm thinking that these are going to be what we see here. 15, David Calo, he's not going to risk it. He's going to come in. Justin Lemke in that first position now, the Toyota, working around it. As I know that these drivers right now, this is what we saw at Daytona, this is what we saw everywhere else. It is something that these drivers are thinking about all the time, is that lap traffic and that fall off. I mean, the fall off right now is about a second and a half on tires after 27 laps. So it's going to be absolutely important and crucial for these drivers to come in as soon as possible. If you're watching over on YouTube, I appreciate the heck out of you. Be sure and hit that like button. Make sure we get that YouTube algorithm popping. That's not for us. We do not make a single dime off of those likes or the shares or the comments, but what it does is it tells YouTube that you guys are liking what you're seeing enough to take the effort to push that button. As we see those new drivers on new tires coming up very quickly on this lead group, going to be trying to work their way in to get the laps back the old-fashioned way, as I don't think we're going to see a caution here, guys. We're not going to see these guys have enough trouble to need to come down and have an incident. It's very rare in this league where we are going to have that incident, but anytime you add those fresh tires into this equation where they're coming up on these slower cars, it's definitely going to come into play here, as Ed Moore is already getting past Jeremy Rigney, now only has Justin Lemke to deal with there. As Jeremy Rigney now, Justin Lemke, this first group has made it by. Now we're looking for the second group to come in. As I know we've got a Jeremy Rigney fan in the chat. Lee Rigney says, "Come on, bro." Jeremy here testing the waters. He's going to stay out. And we've seen that throughout this season. These drivers have shown us that they are willing to maybe try out some different strategies, maybe try and get one pit less than everybody else. They definitely can do it. As Lemke, somebody who can come in as well. So overall, folks, look here, stage racing. So the stage will be at a third. So be about lap, let me see, a third of the race here. Let me do some quick math. Be about lap 48 is when we're going to see a stage break. So some of these guys may be thinking, let's go ahead, come in, make this stage as well as possible, because of the drivers that came in, it's Dylan Mirando who's leading right now, with Ed Morris and Michael Thwaites behind him. And he's got about 27 second gap, and there we go. Justin Lemke just put it over with Jeremy Rigney that they're going to be coming down pit road, so keep an eye on that. As they're practicing, they know what they're doing here when they come down pit road. They absolutely practice this all throughout the week, the teammates deciding to come in together. It is something that you have to do well in this league, especially coming up on this stage break. John, I believe lap 48, correct?
Lap 48 is correct. Yeah, we're going to have one stage, and that's likely why we saw the drivers pit early. They're trying to split the stage in half, make it interesting. After that, there won't be any more stages. Something that I'm not sure if you've mentioned, however, we do have a choose rule. So coming to one to go, drivers have to be as high or low as possible to coming to the start-finish line to choose their lane. It's going to be really interesting to watch.
Absolutely. As we take a look, you know, last week, some of these drivers, of course, the winner, Rob Haynes, not here right now that I see. David Elliott did really well at Auto Club. Michael Thwaites, always in it. As far as the season standings, Nicholas Caldwell, he's got 1 win, 1 top 5, and 2 top 10s, as well as Rob Haynes, Michael Thwaites, and Mike Rominger up there. So those are the names that we see every single week. They're the names that we are going to see more of throughout this race. As there we go, Dylan Mirando, everything is cycled through. Everybody came down pit road. Dylan Mirando, Ed Morris, that fall off between the last car that came down pit road and these leaders was about 2 seconds, Jonathan.
Wow, that's a little bit of a time right there, as we got 12 laps remaining in this stage. Following the battle with number 7 and the number 12, looking like we're possibly setting up a pass here into turns 3. It's not quite going to work out just yet for number 12.
Absolutely, and there's still, right now, even after these guys came down on lap 24, here it is lap 37, already a second fall off on those tires, about half a second fall off. So to see these guys, let's go ahead and take a look at the time delta as I pull that up between Dylan Mirando and Morris. That gap just kind of reaching out, but you can see that line moving up there. It is definitely something to think about, as if we're 5 laps, we've lost about half a second. A little bit of battle for 5th here, Osborne and Caldwell. Got a slew of drivers behind him. I believe that is lap traffic. The 13 is Nicholas Caldwell. And then we have Morris Sr. in there as lap traffic. So see how that's going to play. Luckily, they've got a mile and a half to sort out the lap traffic. I don't think it's going to be as big a deal as it generally is here for Extreme. But I know that it's definitely on these guys' minds as this thing comes in, that they are learning a lot about this track, even with as cool as it is right now. As we take a look at the weather, it is 84 degrees down there and 87 degrees on the track, which is not a lot. I'm actually very surprised that these tires are handling as poorly as they are. John, you think they got the rain tires on there?
Well, that would be an interesting thought, but you know, Kentucky's not really an abrasive track either, so kind of surprising to see if there is some poor handling. It looks like the outside lane is kind of going away, or at least for the leaders, and they're all trying to get down kind of one left tire on the inside of that black groove we see on the right side, and the other one on the outside to help with the turning. As you see, Ed Morris getting a little bit high right there. And even third place, I believe that is Michael Thwaites, who's a little bit higher than him. So perhaps dirty air has a little bit of something to do with it. I was always told by an extremely fast racer, you don't ever want to follow the person that you're racing directly behind them into a corner because it affects your ability to make the turn.
Yeah, absolutely. As we see Ed Morris there coming in, and it affects both cars, right? If you're the lead car, you're taking air off that spoiler. It's not doing what it's designed to do. It's throwing that air, and it's kind of sucking it down to the car right behind you as Ed Morris makes a pass for the lead there. And if you're that following car and you're not able to take advantage of that, it takes the air off your front end. So it's a little bit of a gamble either way, however you want to do it. It kind of uses that arrow against you, so to speak, especially at the short tracks. Here at the 1.5s, it kind of helps a tiny bit, but you definitely don't want to be right up on that driver, especially that prime time number 7, because Ed Morris will make you look foolish as he's able to drive away from you with his hand out the window. As looks like another lap car back there, the 5 of Ed Morris Sr. still falling back there. They go a lap down.
A lot of cars around the leader, a lot of trucks around the leaders right here. Dylan Morado in second down position after losing that spot to Ed Morris. Ed Morris and Nicholas Caldwell, from what I see, are the current highest movers since I joined the feed. Who do you have for the highest mover since you've been in, James?
You know what? Since we've got a moment, honestly, I did the same thing you did. I came in a little bit late. So let's take a look at our qualifying results and show you exactly where everybody lined up. Well, we have a couple laps. Oh, if we do, Ed Morris gets sent to the upside with Dylan Miranda going to take the bottom. A lot of lap traffic here battling it out. Ed Morris Sr. involved, so Pops and Son maybe going to be talking about that one after it's all said and done there. But let's go ahead and show you those results and who qualified pole. Dylan Miranda did qualify pole. Ed Morris in second. Nicholas Caldwell seems to be our biggest loser right now. Not biggest loser, but you know what I mean. As they're still side by side. Tire wear coming into play. Let me get that out of the screen there as we take a look.
Yeah, not really being able to get the drive off that you want in the corner right there for Ed Morris. And I imagine that's a sticky place to be when you feel the car sliding up, and you can't really use the brake too much to help that. If you got too much front bias, as it'll just send you right into the wall. Mirando's going to come around to the start-finish line. He's going to have 2 more times around, and then the stage 1 is going to be complete. No stage points will be awarded, and there will not be another stage for the race. I was informed that this is just sort of practice for next season, where stages will play a much larger impact in the racing here at the Extreme Ricmotech Truck Series.
Absolutely, kind of like a little competition caution, right? They're going to come down, they're going to see what that tire wear is, have a little bit of the air, a little bit of a break from having to do those really high speed, high stress entries and exits on pit road that these guys are going to have to get used to. Because I'm telling you, they came down at lap 25. That's about 6 different times you're going to have to find your way down pit road over the course of this race. 4 more times, I'm sorry, so 5 total. If you're on that strategy, we have seen people go 33 laps, however, so that is going to, if you want to stretch it out and change up your strategy a little bit. Let's see there, 143 divided by 33, there we go. That's about 4 stops, so they can maybe shave 1 stop out of it, but at this fall off, I don't think it's going to matter. That's 33 laps. They're going to catch you at that point, I would think. I don't think you're going to get that time back. As Mike Grominger gets by Ed Morris, I wonder what's going on in that 7 truck, because he's falling back hard. Maybe pushed too hard on those new tires when he first came out.
Well, the fall off can definitely happen quick if you're not careful, especially when you get to, we're at what? Well, I think he did come down pit road. Let me double check on that. Yeah, he came down pit road lap 24 and took tires. So perhaps he just really burned his stuff up. And, he was racing, kind of got a little sideways earlier. So he could have just ate the tires up as we are stage 1 complete.
Absolutely. So stage 1 is complete in the books. We're going to go ahead and get to an ad break, and we'll be right back, folks.
Allow Extreme Scoring to do the work for you.
Ricmotech, high-performance sim racing equipment. Whether you're just looking to have fun, train for race day, or become a serious esports competitor, Ricmotech has you covered. Hundreds of name-brand parts. Support from experts that love sim racing. Trusted by the pros. There's only one place to go, Ricmotech.com.
The search is over. The most comprehensive oval scoring solution is here. Featuring oval playoffs, adjust drivers per round, custom number of rounds, custom playoff points, provisionals, optional win and you're in, custom playoff displays, rookie championships, optional minimum participation, and load those results in seconds. Visit extremescoring.info today.
Ricmotech, high-performance sim racing equipment. Whether you're just looking to have fun, train for race day, or become a serious esports competitor, Ricmotech has you covered. Hundreds of name-brand parts. Support from experts that love sim racing. Trusted by the pros. There's only one place to go, Ricmotech.com.
All right, guys, we are back here at the end of stage number 1. Going to be coming to the choose cone. We've got our fancy dancy little choose drone here. I took that from Bristol. Don't tell them I did that, but it's going to be pretty cool to see where everybody's electing to go. Really, I'm not seeing much of a change. Everybody track position seems to be key here, John.
Yeah, starting on fresh tires here at Kentucky, both lanes are good. Now, starting on old tires, I almost feel like I'd rather the inside line, but I could make an argument for the outside if you can be side by side into the corner and hold the leader down. But on fresh tires at Kentucky, fresh pavement, track position, as far forward as you can go.
Absolutely, especially with the temperature that we're seeing right now. The track is cool. It's nice here in Kentucky. A little bit of light breeze even. You're going to get the launch you want. You really are. You just actually, if I'm up front, I may not actually want to be leading this thing, because that's the guy who's going to burn up all his stuff. That's the guy who's going to have to come down first. He's going to be pretty much in the captain's seat as far as everyone's going to try and undercut him here as lap 53. This is going to play right into that 25 laps that we're going to see folks coming in. But I believe Dylan Miranda does have the button, so he did choose that top line. Once he gets to that Geico restart zone, he's going to fire off here. So our choose drone's still out there. We're going to use him again to see these drivers. And there we go. Green flag is out. Top line is fired. Everybody rocking and rolling pretty well here. As Chad Osborne down at the bottom, or at the top, I'm sorry, Mike Rominger there at the bottom. I know that they are no numbers on some of these machines. That is a issue we are working with. As there we go, everybody seems to be hopping into that top line. They're trying to get everything they can out of this track as far as turning radius is concerned, so they're not stuck down low and pinned trying to use up their front right to dig into these turns.
Yeah, and, well, you know, we saw that change as the run went on, and it seemed like the lower line was the better way around the track. But early on, I really do think it's multi-groove racing. It's pretty much single file, except for a battle, which looks to be for 6 between David Killow and Michael Thwaites. And now we got another truck a little further back than that trying to battle, as Ed Morris seems to have his hands full. He's going to slide right in behind number 13 and Nicholas Caldwell.
Absolutely. As you see him kind of fanning out there behind him. Dylan Miranda taking his way and getting gone. David Killow working with Edward Morris here. As I talked earlier about that little black strip you see in 3 and 4, that's or 1 and 2, I'm sorry, that's something that if you're on these courses and you know what you're looking at, especially with road courses, that's one of the things that people tell you. If you want to find the fastest line around the track, you're not going to be the first one to find it. Find that wear in the track, find where they've had to pull up the asphalt and put something new down, because that's where you're going to get the most grip. Because that's where cars have been going over it thousands of times over the last decade or so. So that's where we're seeing cars putting their rights right on that line in 1 and 2. And if the track is that abrasive, which, yeah, again, I'm with you, John. I wouldn't have thought this track was going to be so abrasive, but these trucks just plowing and hurting these tires really badly. After 7 laps, we have a little bit farther back, about a half-second fall off right now, as these guys are battling for 6 to 10.
Yeah, you know, I must be confusing Kentucky with Kansas, 2 different Ks. Similar-ish tracks, similar D-shaped oval. I know Kansas is new pavement. I really thought Kentucky was new pavement too. And when we look at it here in the simulation, it looks like it's pretty clean. I don't see any grain of the concrete. But perhaps it's a concrete thing that's causing a majority of the wear and tear on the tires.
Yeah, absolutely. As we see up front, a little bit of a battle here in the top 5. Of course, broke ground in 1988, opened in 2000. Kentucky, the NASCAR Cup Series last race here was the Quaker City 400 in 2020. And the racetrack is unfortunately now inactive, if you will. There was a lot of Fords here in May of 2021. Not of the race truck variety, though. Ford parked about 60,000 newly built Super Duty pickup trucks there while they were waiting for those conductor chips to come in. As I'm just doing a little bit of Googling around here, as it is getting dark. I can tell you that much right now. These lights are showing their age here on my screen. Let me give you one moment here. Get that brightened up for you guys. There we go, a little bit brighter for the broadcast. As we're working on this. But it seems like right now, Dylan Miranda is going to have pretty much, we're seeing the same thing we saw in the first stage, John. We're in the first 5 cars, pretty much throw a blanket over them. They're working on the same stuff. Got the same amount of tire wear, but now the gap to 6th is a little bit farther, and Ed Morris still slipping back. I don't know if he made adjustment in that first pit stop that he needs to, that may have turned the car backwards more than he wanted it to, but he's got some work to do, as well as Josh Wren. Justin Limke was up there. Now he's got to work on it. Sean Corcoran in that 22 machine. Seeing a lot of cars go backwards now.
Yeah, that's going to have a lot to do with the fall off, I imagine. Best laps of the race, low 31s, starting to see 32s for 6 on back. Top 5 still in the 31-second bracket, falling off about a half of a tenth. So, not a half a tenth, excuse me, half a second. And I think we're going to start seeing people that are able to go fast and conserve tires move to the front or stay in the front, and the people that can go fast but not conserve tires are going to slowly start to move their way to the back, and then in about the next 15 or 20 laps, you'll start seeing some extremely aggressive fall off.
Absolutely, as we already have folks. I don't know if there was an issue there actually. Jeremy Rigney, Chris Thorman seemed to be an issue. Let's take a look at the replay there. Yep. Oh, almost brought a caution out. They were able to keep it going there. That's the 60 of Chris Thorman, and then Josh Wren involved in that incident. So truck's getting a little bit hard to handle out there. But yeah, as you were saying, as far as the fall off and the sprint type that we're seeing here, I think saving tires, it could be an effective strategy. But with the way these guys are racing and they're coming in every 25 laps, I don't think you have enough time to conserve tires. I think you got to go out there and at least run 95, maybe 90% to even keep up with these guys. Otherwise, you're going to be back here battling for 5th as we have a lead change coming up. Chad Osborne working to the bottom of Dylan Miranda. As we talked about earlier, that front car that Dylan had in the beginning of this race had to burn up a little bit more of his stuff. Now stuck on the high line. 4-way here, 8th to 12th. We'll keep an eye on that battle up front. This was looking like there was going to be an incident. There we go. Still side by side up front, John.
And and just really good racing towards the front here. But I mean, Kentucky really does bring out a quality type of driver. I'm making this up as we go because I'm seeing it happen right here. As we're seeing the tire wear drastically change the handling characteristics of the truck as the run goes on, which takes a pretty competent driver. And we're seeing a lot of that right now as a couple drivers up front are managing to stay together. And further through the field, we see drivers starting to spread out and single file more so. So really impressed with the top 5 staying within a second of each other.
Absolutely. As the battle we're seeing farther back, Michael Thwaites, Justin Limke, that 35 machine battling it out here on lap 69. As if you're keeping track, folks, I think we have 3 more stops coming up, and those are going to be like 14 minutes of racing if it is on that 25 lap rotation that we saw a little bit earlier. I don't know what folks were seeing when they got in the pits. They got those tires off, they get them back to the crew. and they take a look at them, and they're going to be relaying all of that to the crew chief to try and kind of keep them up to speed on, like, this is where we had it, this is where we want the driver to really run to conserve. Because if you come in and you're right front screaming, because it looks like these guys are almost about running flat out, and that's kind of the issue on these tires. But I don't think you could do anything different, honestly, the way these guys are driving up front. So we're gonna turn it up on Dylan Mirando as he's trying to work past the leader, and that's what we're gonna gauge on. Listen to these RPMs and see these guys, how hard they are in the gas throughout this entire course. We'll be right back. We are back here, lap 74 of 143. If things are going to be the way they were when we started, we are about to start seeing some lap traffic and some caution, some pits coming in, because we are about a half second or a second off of where we were for these drivers. So let's take a look at their best times. You can see that in the tower. Take a look, pick somebody out, focus on that number. I'm gonna pick Mirando. 31:15 is his best time around this track during the race. 31:15, look at it right now, 32:93. So there's a ton of fall off right now in these tires.
Well, it's been about 32 laps or so since the last the pit stop, and we saw it seems to happen in like increments, like 10 laps, 20 laps, 30 laps, and at that point they're struggling pretty good. We're seeing people in the 33.5 second mark. A couple drivers barely in the 32s still, but it's just happening very quickly for the fall off. But that goes back to me mentioning, if you're going to win this race, you've got to be extremely competent and comfortable driving in all sorts of different tire situations. And I really think, yeah, saving your tires is obviously going to help, but also finding out how to go faster on old tires, backing up the corner the right way, using the throttle, maybe a little bit of trail braking to wrap the bottom line is playing a key role into this. And if you look at the top four that we've been following right here, it seems like every lap, even as the tires wear down, they're still able to get down pretty close to the yellow line or within a lane of it. And that consistency is what's paying off for the top four, as they've got about a 2-second gap back to fifth of Ed Morris. Then the gaps start getting much larger from there.
Yeah, absolutely. A little bit of a gaggle from sixth back to Sean Corcoran, I'm sorry, as he's working on Limke. And that's just what we're seeing. And who's going to pull the trigger first, right, and try and come down and quick pit it? If you make it to the 35 laps, you've only got one more stop after that, so 2-stopper from there. even that, though, is a gamble if somebody decides to come down and short pit you, because you also never know. We're talking about this thing, John, like it's going to go green the whole time. And as you know as well as I do, working this long in this business, those cautions are going to come up right in the middle of your strategy. So something that somebody can really take advantage of here.
Well, one person's misfortune on strategy sometimes is extremely beneficial for other drivers, so it might be worth trying to see if there's any drivers that a caution could benefit. It doesn't really look like it too much. Maybe for driver in 17th place of Shade, but he's not really at risk of going a lap down anytime soon. So I'm not sure. I think at the most part, strategy would be the only thing that gets messed up, but a caution right now could be beneficial for everybody. You don't have to worry about potentially speeding or missing your pit box, and it'll bunch the field back up. But not with this series. I don't expect a caution really for this race, perhaps in the last 5 or 10 laps, but not with these guys. The racing's just too clean and too good.
Absolutely, as we're seeing some battle, the tale of two Davids, David Colo and David Elliott right now working on each other for 7th position. And this is where it's going to be, right? If it happens, it's going to happen in one of these little pop-up storms throughout the field where they're battling each other and running side by side, especially now here we're coming up on lap 82. These drivers maybe getting a little bit loose, the characteristics of the machines changing, and if it happens, it'll happen back here. But I tell you what, up front, Chad Osborne has taken it and run with it. Dylan Miranda falls back to 3rd behind Mike Rominger, as just trying to find anywhere to get that grip and some push off, and he's just not getting it. So I could figure some of these drivers will start to come in very shortly. Of course, Jeremy Rigney said that he is out. He's going to be coming down pit road with Justin Limke about the mid pack. Maybe they're trying to make it a one-stopper here, John, for the people up front.
Well, again, I imagine they can go about 50 laps on fuel, assuming a full fuel cell. You're going to have to get to 90, at least 90, probably a little bit more than that. Somebody gets to 92, 93, I'm going to say that they can make it from the end here. And now that's me not knowing exactly how long the fuel run is, but just my best guesstimate. And I guess we're going to watch this one closely to see how it continues to play out.
Absolutely. There's a lot of drivers in the back half of the field electing to come down pit road. So far, 34 laps on this run, about 50, 60 laps left. As Mirando's going to come down pit road, definitely going to be a two-stopper for these guys that are coming down right now.
Yeah, I don't think you can save enough right here without a caution coming this early, and so you know I think him coming down pit road is going to bring other drivers down, which will probably just guarantee this to be a two-stop race. But that being said, who's going to want to come back in sooner rather than later to top off for fuel or get a couple gallons to make it to the end?
Yeah, absolutely. And if you come in, you got to take those tires. You can't come in and waste your time just with fuel. And I don't even think you're thinking about a right side stop to try and save time. I don't think you have that luxury here with this fall off, as we are now just over 2 seconds of fall up. So 30-second laps, 2 seconds of fall off. It's only going to take somebody 15 laps to get back around you and really make you pay for not coming in here, as Chad Osborne seems to be having his hand out the window. He's going to come down pit road on his own here.
Yeah, I'm going to say that the one-stop race might be out of the window. In fact, we might see some of these people that will be a two. They might be able to take advantage of the fresher tires if they're out long enough.
Yeah, absolutely. Keep an eye on Nicholas Caldwell. Dylan Miranda right now coming around. He's the one who we're going to keep an eye on for paces. Oh! Almost gets out a little bit on him with those fresh tires. Maybe didn't adjust the base brake bias the way he wanted to, as Mike Rominger and Ed Morris come down pit road, as well as Michael Thates, David Elliott, Sean Corcoran. The only one who has not come down is Ed Morris Sr., and he's got the 13 and Nicholas Caldwell getting below him, as Ed Morris is going to lead a lap here. And that's another thing, you know, stay out, get those bonus points. If you're already running back there, you might as well stay out, get those bonus points, and then come down pit road whenever you feel like it. As this is going to be the battle for the lead. Dylan Mirando, Chad Osborne, and Nicholas Caldwell still right next to each other, even though every one of these drivers, Mirando, Osborne, and Caldwell, John, they all pitted on different laps, and they still came out right next to each other, the advantage to Mirando.
Well, you know, when we're looking at these guys, and pit road times were a little different. I mean, you got, we see 46.80, 49.52, 47.48, 47.77, 47.20. So a couple of the guys really close together. And even when you have different pit stops, you're going to end up fairly close on track, as long as there's no hiccups and you've got a really good out lap and in lap. As we're getting ready to come to 90, lap 90 for 143. So I'm thinking a two-stop race based on what we saw. Lap 48, restart at 50, getting to 90. So it seems like 40-ish is the maximum number of laps. So we're going to see more pit stops. Pit stops are probably going to decide the winner of the race.
Yeah, absolutely. Now, folks, on these long green flag runs, I just ask one thing of you guys. Be sure, A, hit that like button if you haven't already. Share this out to your friends and family if you want to get them in here and cheer on your driver. And then get in the chat. Let us know who you're rooting for here. It helps us out because it gives us some folks. We can kind of focus on some of this different stories throughout the track instead of just watching these same guys battle it around. So cheer on your driver. I promise you it makes it go faster if you say their name in the chat. I don't know how that works, John, but I tell you, I've seen it countless times. It gives them a little bit of a boost to have them fans in the stands.
I mean, it makes people happy, and it's fun to talk about at the end of the race. And when I got into iRacing, it was always kind of cool that my family would want to watch me drive a virtual race car around in a virtual racetrack and scream and yell in the other room. They missed that part, but it's cool. And you know, it just adds an extra aspect, another extra thing that we're able to talk about here in the booth.
Absolutely. Speaking of, Mike Rominger came in on lap 87, and he has flown into this picture. Only 3 lap fresher tires than the driver, Dylan Miranda, who came down first, and he is putting them to work right now as there is a huge battle for the lead. Osborne, Caldwell, and Rominger. Miranda falling back on those tires, and he's definitely feeling it, as Osborne is the closest one with tires at 86. I did not think the tires were going to be such a big deal here. Of course, cards on the table, I had to buy this track to get into the session, but definitely would not expect from a 1.5 to be so treacherous on these tires. Maybe need to talk with NASCAR and get a little bit of some sticky compound in that top groove to get them around here a little bit quicker, because right now that bottom line just so dominant, but boy, is it tearing these tires up.
It's really surprising. Didn't expect that coming here to Kentucky, especially with the low air temperatures, but perhaps it's just the wheelbase of the trucks as well. I really don't feel like the Cup cars fall off that much here, but it also could very well be the distinct difference in the corners and how you have to drive the track.
Absolutely, because they're wide open. I mean, you can go on board with any one of these drivers, and they're wide open through these turns. Maybe a little bit of a blip on the throttle, but they're not worried about it rotating. Obviously, from looking at it, they're just pretty much just throwing this thing into the turn, and it's sticking for the most part. But there's really nowhere for it not to, right? You got eight lanes of racing surface, so you can throw it in there, and you have a lot of help on that outside line, it looks like.
Something else that I wanted to mention, turns 1 and 2 have significantly more banking than turns 3 and 4, so I imagine a lot of tire wear is occurring in 3 and 4 because you're really having to wheel the truck over more. And I venture to say the drivers more towards the front are using throttle to help drive off of turns 4, which might be conserving a little bit of the right front and helping with the pushing sensation of a tight race car, or in this case truck, a bit more. 96 of 143 next time around will be 97. Chad Osborne's out front over Rominger, barely out front, 10th of a second. A couple other battles through the back. Michael Thwaites, David Elliott battle for 6th. A little bit further back, might have a battle for 12th between Thorman and Edward Morris Sr. on the next coming laps, but for the most part, everybody's spread out by about a second or more. Tensions up front.
Absolutely, and you know what? We have an expert we can talk to, Greg Wood of Race Control. I know he's watching this battle for the lead as closely as we are. Greg, what are you seeing up in Race Control? What are the drivers talking about?
They're really not saying much, just announcing whenever they're going to do their pit stops, and had a little mishap there in 1 and 2, probably about 40 laps ago, but everybody kept it straight. But yeah, 1 and 2, you can kind of just roll out of the throttle real quick and kind of carry speed around, but 3 and 4 is tighter and definitely a cheese grater on the tires.
Absolutely. Well, Greg, tell us, since you are in that Race Control, and this thing is sponsored by the Extreme systems of their different apps, tell us about this app and just how easy it makes your job to have all the status and things that you have on screen.
Oh yeah, it definitely makes it a lot easier. Everything's all in one place. I've done Race Control quite a while now, and I've always just used the Race Control or the iRacing controls. But this, everybody's right on a list. They're next to their name. I can send them a message, give them an EOL, clear a black, give a black. And then also I can send a message to the drivers and the broadcast at the same time, letting everybody know what's going on and the calls I make and why. So it's a nice one-stop shop for everything Race Control.
Absolutely, and that's Extreme software. You can find it. Tell us where you can find that if you know. If not, I'll get some digging done.
It's on our website, extremeracing.com. It's called Auto Race Control 2.6.
Absolutely. There you go. Greg, I appreciate you, and good luck in the rest of the race keeping these guys in line.
Thank you.
So there you go, John, talking a little bit just about this software, of course, brought to you by Extreme Motorsports. Lots of different software. I'm telling you, these guys are going to be the next big thing as far as using those ones and zeros to make your iRacing experience a little bit better no matter which seat you're in, as Chad Osborne and Mike Rominger still working on each other. These guys have been trading shots over and over again. Rominger seems to just be testing that bottom line right now and seeing where the grip is, because he knows that once they put tires on these things, it's going to be a absolute carnage trying to get past the leader of Chad Osborne.
I think catching a truck, especially the leader, is different than passing the leader at this track. I imagine you just kind of hit a wall of air when you try to pull to the inside here, and you're really just kind of waiting for the leader to get into the corner a little bit deep. I imagine 3 and 4 offers the highest opportunity for a mistake, but turns 1 and 2, I feel like you have your better ability to make it happen yourself and try to drive underneath the leader. And I think we're starting to see the second place driver set number 1 up, set Osborne up for a pass here in a couple moments, perhaps into turn 3 right here. He's looking for it, but not quite just yet.
Absolutely. At that left rear quarter panel, Osborne going to try and get up there, put that side draft on there, throw the e-brake, if you will, as there we are side by side with Osborne coming into 1. Osborne's just going to have to back it up. You have to have that ability to get on that yellow line as soon as possible. No progressive banking here, as that's what we just saw. Is you just got to let it go. You absolutely have no control over that truck and to get any drive off in any meaningful manner if you're stuck on that top line. So your Ed Morris He's doing the same thing, got by Nicholas Caldwell. Another one that went in on lap 87. Those 87s are pretty much rising to the top. Talking about those guys who came in on that lap, kind of rising above those 84s, definitely above the 83s. 5 laps of fall off you would not assume would be this big a deal, but I tell you, Mike Rominger and Chad Osborne are using all that to their advantage. If you recall, Dylan Mirando came down first and had the lead a little bit after that, and now he is getting passed by David Elliott in the 42. Just the long run speed not there for Mirando as much as he wanted it to be when he started this run.
Yeah, I'm thinking that he possibly drove extremely hard to try to make up ground on the leaders, and it looks like it just might have affected him and hurt him. And in fact, that's probably gonna hurt him here on the next pit stops coming up. I would probably try to undercut these guys once again, and if you time it right, he's only 7 seconds back. I'm not so sure that's going to be quite enough, but he could try to come down and not take tires and get 3-4 seconds of fuel, and see if a 20-second lead is enough in order to see if he'll give him an opportunity. Something I might try if I'm 7 seconds behind. I don't think you can finish any worse than 6th or 7th if you give that a shot.
Yeah, absolutely. And these guys in this mid-pack, what they're probably thinking, come down. One person's going to try the short bit, right? One person's going to gamble, come down, get those. He only has to come down if it's a 2-second fall off and you're 6 seconds back. The math says it's only going to take 3 laps for you to get to that equilibrium. However, you're going to fall off a lot quicker as well. So you're really gambling that there's going to be a caution at that point. And right now we are just not seeing it. There's too many lanes here, not enough cars on the lead lap right now to really get into each other. Everybody's racing respectfully. So all the atmosphere is ready, and the atmosphere is set for a green flag run. So crew chief's probably telling them, hey, you know what? If you're comfortable with your position and you're comfortable and you need the points, stay out. If you have the points, you're already locked in, you're doing well, like Nicholas Caldwell is, you might want to come down. And holy geez, Chad Osborne just decided to come down pit road. That was not what we were expecting in second position to short pit on Mike Rominger. Now we're going to see how he's going to do it.
I don't think Rominger is going to stay out for too terribly long, but I think he could. I really do think he could stay out another 10 laps and still end up very close with Chad Osborne. Osborne must be comfortable on his 31, 32 lap run speed, and feels that if he comes down pit road and takes tires right now, he'll be able to open up the gap over Rominger at a later part of the run. So we're going to keep an eye on this and see what the lap time differences are. And, I mean, you're pitting from up close to the lead, too, so you're not going to lose quite as much ground as you would if you were pitting from, say, 10th or 11th.
That was only 24 laps on those tires. 24 laps in that run for the driver that just came down pit road, Mr. Chad Osborne. So he's maybe thinking that he wants to get the lead. Nicholas Caldwell as well going to come down pit road. He's one of those we talked about. He already has a pretty good points lead, or not points lead. He's actually tied for first with 3 drivers, but he's got the win. He's got a lot of bonus points. He pretty comfortable with himself. He's going to come down pit road. And that's just what we're going to see. If Rominger, I don't think he can stay out more than a couple more laps. Otherwise, he's going to be very, very much at a disadvantage because if you're up front, you can block.
Yeah, I think blocking plays a really good role, at least at this track, as we're seeing things. And I feel like you can really starve the run with the block here, and the loss of momentum it's just crucial here at this track. Want to mention that Osborne just ran a 31.19, so about 2 seconds faster than the leaders. And if this goes on for too much longer than maybe 5 or 6 more laps, Rominger is going to be playing catch up. I don't know which position you would rather be in. Would you rather be out front trying to hold a driver off or playing catch up? I guess that depends on your driving style and what you're willing to do. When you have fresh enough tires, playing catch up is great. But if they start to wear out on you before you get there, they start to equalize a bit, which is very common with drivers of the same class and ability. It creates a whole new struggle. So it's going to be a really interesting race down to the wire. And I wonder if any of these guys in the top 4 might have the ability to stretch it. I really doubt it. Really, really doubt it. But I wonder if they do.
Even if they do, we've got car sideways. 15 of David Calo out. Caution is out. Nicholas Caldwell. That is killer for Caldwell. Haran, Justin Limke, Caldwell just came down pit road. He's going to get the, Osborne going to get the lucky dog here. Caldwell got killed. That is not going to be good with the 5-lap fall off. Rominger owes the 15 of David Calo all the beers at the bar tonight, because I tell you, that changes everything about this race.
Yeah, Chad Osborne, tail end of the longest line's really gonna hurt. He's gonna have his luck cut out for him. He's gonna struggle trying to get through the field. Rominger's gonna have to deal with the likes of Morris, Michael Thwaites. However, we're gonna restack the field. We're gonna choose once again, and this time choosing might come into play a little bit if somebody picks wrong. You might see Mirando jump back into things. Or someone like David Elliott have a role in it. I don't think Osborne's going to be able to get there from the tail end of the longest line.
No, absolutely. As it looks like Osborne, curious whether he's going to take the lucky dog or not. Right now, he is. There he goes. Yeah, Osborne. The good thing about Osborne, though, that's really not great for Caldwell, Haran, Limke, or Rigney, is Osborne can still come down pit road. He's going to get that lap back. He's going to be at the end of the line anyways, so he can come down pit road, get some fresh tires, get all the fuel he can take in that thing, and still be in it. And he's still going to be around all these wave around cars. I'm telling you, there's 5 of them, so he's going to be in the top 10. He just can't choose.
I was going to say, he should be in front of the wave around cars, but should only be 5 lanes back. So if he's got tires, I'd probably take them now. Try to make an aggressive move, and see what he can make up. We know he's fast. I don't want to count him out with 20 laps to go in the top 10, but he's got a lot of fast drivers to pass. He's gonna have to pass the top 5. You know, David Elliott, Mirando, Rominger, Thwaites, and Morris. And these drivers hold their speed for the long run, and we're gonna see about a 22, 21 lap run to the end where there's still speed in the tires, so he's got his work cut out for him to try to get back up there. Untimely caution, you know, we talked about it earlier. Misfortune for some is normally great for others, and we just saw how great that's going to be for Rominger. And looks like I could be wrong. Did Ed Morris get out of pit lane first?
Absolutely, yeah. Ed Morris is up there. Don't know if we're going to be going to the choose cone this time around. Looks like it's going to be the next time around, so 2 to green. So he's going to be thinking about it. Ed Morris had a 14.6 second pit time. The only one who beat him was Dylan Mirando. So Michael Thwaites had a good one. It looks like Rominger may have missed his box or something. 15.6 seconds.
Wow, that's a long mistake. Didn't really hurt him too much, I guess. But I'd rather be starting on the front row than the second row.
Absolutely. As we're coming to the choose cone, I appreciate everybody watching right now, coming in for the exciting finish of the Ricmotech Truck Series, brought to you, of course, by Ricmotech and Extreme Scoring Software. I tell you, I've been to the Ricmotech store. Jonathan has as well. It's absolutely crazy. If you find yourself in Miami, hit them up. Go check out. You can test out all the stuff that the guys like me will never be able to afford. But boy, I tell you, it's fun to get in there and run what you can. But I tell you what, even though I can't afford the $20,000 simulators they've got in there, they're still going to put you in some good equipment, and it's pretty cheap as far as what you can find. You may find it cheaper than anywhere else there at Ricmotech, whether online or you head to the store. Got my wheel there, and I could not be happier with it and the expertise they gave me with it. So that storefront definitely there. So we're seeing the choose cone. Top line coming into effect. Looks like everybody kind of wanting that top line. That's interesting on fresh tires. Ed Morris, your leader, taking the bottom.
Yeah, I like the bottom if you get a good restart here. And Rominger went to the bottom as well. Osborne up to 7th. So I'd say that's within striking distance. But he's not the fastest car by far. I do think he's the fastest truck, but not by far.
Yeah, and that bottom line's going to definitely help him out. He did take that bottom line. Maybe he can get lucky and some folks get stuck up top. As well, if you see some of the folks that are up there, Sean Corcoran, David Elliott, these are guys that have not been in the mix, so to speak. So you might be able to get the jump on them there we go. Don't know what. There we go. Ed Morris. If you have the button, you're going to have the advantage. Doesn't really matter. You're going to get that restart, and it's going to be good for you. So we're going to take a look from the back window as we get started. We're going to start this thing in a turn it up segment, folks. So listen in. We'll be here. Good restart from all these drivers. Ed Morris able to get there. Rominger in 2nd. Dylan Miranda coming down in 3rd, but the high line making a run. Michael Fates and David Elliott. Don't forget about Chad Osborne. He's at the bottom as we come to the line to come on lap 122 as turns 1 and 2 going to be still that dominant line right there on that new asphalt, John.
I think the driver's got to be careful, though. There's only 22 laps remaining, but you can really push the truck too far and cheese grade your wheels. If we see one of the comments bring forward the cheese grader, we got a huge problem right here. Oh!
Caution is out, still getting hit. Nicholas Caldwell had a good race going. Oh, you hate that. Hate that for Ed Morris. Let's take a look at the replay. It's just battling for the lead, pops up, and then Ed, almost has it saved.
I wonder what caused that. Is there a bump right there? It just looked a little odd. It didn't look intentional. It didn't look like a normal racing incident. It's just an uncharacteristic movement that caused that.
Yeah, so I'll tell you right now, I've been seeing this a lot in my races. Just gets that once iRacing decides that contact happens, it sucks that truck into it. Because if you look at these trucks, John, from the profile, that right side actually sticks out about like 2 inches farther than the left side, so it kind of has a cant to the outside to help with the aero push there. And once that gets into a truck beside you, it's going to make it do some weird things. And I think that's what we saw there. Is Dylan Miranda had the best view of this. Let's go on excuse me, let's go on his nose, see what he saw.
kind of like part in the Red Sea right there for him.
Yeah, absolutely. Cautions breed cautions, John.
We're gonna have about 17 laps to go when we get back to this one, and look who will be starting in row 2.
Yeah, that's the 24 of Chad Osborne. While they're waiting to get everything figured out, we're going to go ahead and run our last ad break of the evening. Stick around, and we will be right back.
Allow extreme scoring to do the work for you.
Ricmotech high-performance sim racing equipment. Whether you're just looking to have fun, train for race day, or become a serious esports competitor, Ricmotech has you covered. Hundreds of name brand parts. Support from experts that love sim racing. Trusted by the pros. There's only one place to go, Ricmotech.com.
The search is over. The most comprehensive oval scoring solution is here. Featuring oval playoffs, adjust drivers per round, custom number of rounds, custom playoff points, provisionals, optional win and you're in, custom playoff displays, rookie championships, optional minimum participation, and load those results in seconds. Visit extremescoring.info today.
As that was timed absolutely perfectly. Here we go, coming to the choose cone. See if any strategy is going to come into play. You called it just right. 19 laps left. Once we go green, it'll be at the 18. Let's see where these drivers decide to go. Everybody's already made their decision.
Well, I can tell you why that is. With the man in the race control, Greg Wood doesn't play. So you better not have left any ambiguity in what your decision is in. Otherwise, that's penalty. And he does not play. Makes him an excellent race control.
One of the best, I'd say. And who is he working for? Just if you had to guess.
Well, I would have to say he works for us.
There we go. Sim Racing Media. We do race control, folks. As right before we get going here, John, I want to tell you I watched some of the USFL with my daughter, and she was, pretty confused the whole time about football and what was going on. I asked her, I said, hey, why are you so confused? It's not that hard. Everybody's just trying to get to the ball. And she was like, I just don't know why they're fighting over a quarter. And I said, what do you mean? And she says, yeah, they're all trying to get the quarterback.
Oh my goodness.
Michael
This is middle-aged dad jokes right here.
Dylan
you know those videos with the cup of coffee? That's what that is.
Yeah, there we go. As approaching the ICA restart zone, Dylan Mirando, green flag is out. Michael points Chad Osborne. Everybody rocking and rolling. Chad gonna get going on the outside as the inside gets a little bit bent out of shape here.
Well, I tell you what, Chad Osborne has effectively erased the damage caused by that caution as he's battling for third place on the outside with a really good run. They're thinking about 3 wide, and it looks like David Elliott's going to back out of that right for the moment, and still 2 wide for third between 24 and 42. 24 with the forward advantage, but I do think the corner, I don't know if he's going to manage to clear him in the on the front stretch.
Absolutely. David Elliott, haven't had his name around a lot in our mouth, but he's here now when it counts. And look at Ed Morris Sr. in danger of going a lap down at different points of this race. Now in 5th with Sean Corcoran and Jeremy Rigney beside him. I know we got a Rigney fan watching. Well, look at him coming into the top 6 position. As Dylan Miranda and Michael Thwaites still battling, Chad Osborne going to line up, and we're going to see these guys maybe try and take it a little bit easier, but not here for 6. 3 wide coming into turn number 1.
It's still 3 wide. If the drivers are going to make this work, they sure are. The victor of that's going to be Jeremy Rigney, move him up to 6th. Battle now for 7th, but behind him, Justin Limke and Sean Corcoran. Now trying to look a little further back, Mike Rominger, after trouble with Ed Morris, slowly trying to claw his truck back into the mix. I think he's going to play at least a bit of a factor before the end of this one.
Absolutely, as we go back up front, Miranda and Thwaites leaning on each other. We've seen Miranda, he has the short run speed, but with 15 laps left to go, normally that would be short run, but it's not looking like 15 laps is short run for these guys anymore. So hopefully Miranda has figured out what he's doing wrong in that machine with his inputs and trying to save a little bit here at the end of it, because if not, we know Chad Osborne can do it. We know David Elliott has been saving this entire race. That's why we haven't been talking about it. He's been playing that midline and keeping those tires around. So we'll see how hot they're going to get. Let's take a look at the weather real quick before we finish up here. Track temperature 85 degrees. So cool, nice temps for those drivers. See if it's going to pay off.
Yeah, we'll find out. I feel like Miranda's moving around the track too much, and that's hurting him against the 12 with Thwaites. He can't give up the insides. He has to make Thwaites go around him on the outside. But from what I'm seeing right here is Thwaites is just seeming to get just a little more speed at each and every lap. And he's going to make the crossover move. He gets side by side. I think that's going to be the lead. He is side by side into the cheese grater corners 3 and 4. It's going to slide up in. The 27 is going to manage to stay side by side and can gain an advantage and clear him back. Probably not, as Osborne is going to come down to the low side and provide potentially some drafting help with Thwaites.
Absolutely. Thwaites going to try and get him out. Miranda has to hold him off for as long as possible to make sure that he uses up everything he possibly can. And Chad Osborne is just watching it, just wriggling his hands, thinking, you know what, you guys keep battling it out. I'm going to stay about half a truck length back, ready to strike. And then David Elliott, same thing. He's saying, you know what, you guys keep fighting. I'm happy where I'm at. David, one of those who's doing really well in this race here at the end. A little farther back, Limke and Rigney's making his way back through the field. Rigney and then Rominger just made a pass on Ed Morris Sr. So he's he wants to be up in the room where it happens, as they're still side by side for the lead. Now they've just switching back and forth as there goes Miranda, gets a little bit bent out of shape. Up in front of Osborne. Osborne has to go down low. That's going to be another position that Miranda is going to lose, possibly 3 here, as Elliott down the bottom as well.
And you know, something that I thought was interesting during this whole charade right here is that Elliott chose not to battle with Osborne. And I really believe he could have, and this might have been a better strategy to get past Miranda first and then take the battle to Osborne, as Elliott is looking underneath Osborne a little bit unsettled, trying to come out of 3. And here comes Miranda with the crossover move, trying to take that position back. And uncharacteristic, why did David Elliott drive up so far up the track? That's basically going to hand Miranda the position.
Absolutely. I think that's a self-preservation. Elliott has not been aggressive this whole race. He's really got no reason to be aggressive for 4th, as he's in 5th place right now, and nobody up around him is anybody that he really has to worry about as far as points are concerned. Nicholas Caldwell was involved in an incident. He's out of it. Michael Thwaites is really the one above him. Rominger's too far back. So if you're looking at a points battle here, honestly, if you're David Elliott and Limke, or not Limke, but Miranda just got passed by 3 people, he was driving pretty aggressive. Maybe you want to say, you know what, you work on you. I'm going to be watching from the background and make a move on you after you drive your stuff off like you have been doing all race long.
I mean, I'm on the opposite side of the spectrum here. I think Elliott gave up his chance to possibly win this race. I really feel like he needed to be right behind Osborne to give himself an opportunity. And if he can make short work of Mirando and get back around, perhaps there's a potentiality for that. But I think Thwaites and Osborne are going to start stepping away from these two if something doesn't happen quickly.
Absolutely. I don't think Elliott, if he's thinking about a race win, I don't think he was thinking about it right there. He just self-preservation. We'll see if he can get up there, though. He had a lot of practice saving his stuff. That's the one thing he has on everybody else. He didn't want to stick around and battle Mirando, but in doing so, he has opened the door for Justin Lemke to now get involved. Jeremy Rigney is up there in the 41 machine as we have 6 laps left to go. Thwaites, though, is trying to step it out. He's pushing as hard as he can to try and gap him out as there is a car coming up onto the track. In front of him, the lap car of Ed Morris. See what Ed's going to do here. Obviously, he knows most of the rules as the league owner, so probably knows where to be when the leaders approach. He's going to go to that ultimate high line there.
Yeah, but you got 2 of them, which is going to make things rather interesting. And as they go through here, and Elliott's going to have an opportunity to go for second. I guess Osborne burnt up his stuff.
There you go, Elliott. Again, he's practiced all race saving. Oh no! Oh my gosh! Did Elliott just lose connection?
Yeah,
he was
still
off
not
my.
back.
Oh,
he's back.
That was close.
Holy cow! Almost a full lap.
Entered the shadow realm for about 15 seconds. I was worried he might have got disconnected. That may have cost him his race for second there. Is now Lemke, Mirando, Jeremy Rigney. These are drivers who actually came down pit road on lap 122. So that's playing into factor here. Chad Osborne never came down pit road from that 109. When his green flag stopped, that was his last stop. Maybe that's going to come back to bite him as Elliott's working on him here.
No, I think he's got enough room right here to hang on to P2 if Elliott can't get around him. Only 2.5 more laps remaining, twice around the cheese grade corner. I think he's going to be okay in this P2 position. He's definitely not going to challenge for the lead. Elliott might manage to get by him on the last lap. That's what I'm seeing right here. But no one's catching Michael Thwaites at this point unless there's an incident.
Absolutely, but we see Mirando, he's on the back of Lemke. He's pretty agitated about where he is at in this race. He's been up the front multiple times, falls back every single time. But I do agree with you, John. Chad Osborne is going to keep second unless he gets passed. So I think that's one of the keys we can look at. As Lemke and Mirando, we're still going to keep an eye on that battle because they are trading some pretty close air. If they're not touching, they are thinking about it. As a white flag is out for Michael Thwaites one more time around. Chad Osborne, David Elliott, Justin Lemke, and Dylan Mirando round out your top 10 for now. Mike Rominger and Jeremy Rigney up there trying to sort out that top 7 position.
Yeah, Thwaites got a 1-second lead over Chad Osborne and David Elliott. I'm not going to count Elliott out of making a dive bomb attempt move in turns 3 and 4. Doesn't look like he's going to make it. Top 3 as they run. Elliott almost up into the wall right there. And if you take a look at that battle with Mirando, that looks really close with Rominger possibly in the mix. Yes.
Yeah, absolutely. And that's going to do it. This race is official. Michael Thwaites gets the run. So he's going to go burn it down. We're going to be in the Discord. Stick around, guys. We're going to watch the burnout, and then we are going to be back talking with your top 3 race finishers. That was a treat seeing that right rear come up. As we're going to do the wall burnout here at Kentucky. I like it. Maybe Michael needs. We'll talk to Michael about that burnout. Here we go. Getting up into it. See if we can see Mr. Thwaites. Not yet. As there he goes off the track. We're going to be finding him pretty shortly here. Michael Thwaites. Bum, 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 bum. Well, folks, I don't see any of the drivers here in the Discord, so that is going to do it for that. If they come in before we're done with our results, then we will go ahead and talk to them. If not, they'll catch them next week as we go over Michael Thwaites in first. Of course, Chad Osborne there in second. David Elliott in third. Justin Lemke fourth. Dylan Mirando in fifth. Mike Rominger going to bring it in sixth with Jeremy Rigney in seventh. Sean Corcoran in eighth with Ed Morris Sr. Good finish for him in ninth. Brennan Horan in 10th. Everybody else is going to be a lap down or more. Chris Thorman in 11th. Kerry Cleaver 12th. David Calo, Maxwell Shade, and Josh Wren in 15th. For these guys involved in the incident, it's going to be Ed Morris and Nicholas Caldwell. That is going to be your finishing results. Going to see here if Mr. Thwaites is in. He's not. Chad Osborne, 24 machine. Nope. David Elliott in the 42. There we go. We're going to talk to David Elliott. David, it's James in the booth. How we doing? David, you got me? Sure you got your push to talk on there? Well, unfortunately, we were unable to talk to David Elliott, but I tell you what, we're going to go ahead and get this thing rocking and rolling. They'll talk to him at the end of the race, or before the race next time, as I'm trying to get the podium here. They are not in the Discord. So, all right, folks, they're going to talk to him next time around, folks. I appreciate you watching, and hopefully you guys can enjoy the replay, and we will get them back to you next time around. As always, we'll talk to you next week.
Ricmotech, high-performance sim racing equipment. There's only one place to go, Ricmotech.com.